All right, since we are live, I'm just gonna wait for Twitch to roll over, and it looks like yeah, there's our smiling faces on Twitch. Everything's working well there. So let me copy that. Oh, also enabled the feature. I've never played with it, never even heard of it until I logged in tonight. That you, if you so wanted to, you could somehow stream this to your
Oh
socials.
yeah, there's a
Uh,
button in the top corner here. It says stream this to your audience. I haven't messed with it, but I know you can do that now where
that's
your
cool. That is
guests can
cool.
stream it to their own like social media stuff.
That I really like. That's a great
Yeah.
feature. I mean, what is this program like? $200 and something a year, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah,
Depending on like the
it's
version you want. I think there's a couple different versions now. But yeah, it's
okay.
something
I'm
like
probably in
that.
the grandfathered version, but I don't know. But yeah, it's they really keep coming with the stuff. Where is promotion on digital media? Nope, that's not what I wanted. I know we have a room just to promote shows. I was going to post this in there. I'm just not doing well. Oh, there it is. You don't even have any music. This is just a gorilla recording right here. We have a logo and a guest, and we're good. That's
That's all we need.
there. That's all we need. So the one thing I don't like, so I do like that in StreamYard, you can sit here and see the chat and not leave, but I can never tell how many people are actually watching through StreamYard.
Oh, it should show it. I mean, like now that
Oh,
I'm
I
in the
see the
guest
eyeball
version,
of one over there.
and if you
Yeah,
hover it over it or click on it, it'll show you like, especially if you're streaming to more than one, because like on our show, we'll stream to YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch all at the same time, and
yeah,
it'll show like, okay, this many people are watching on Twitch, this many people are watching on Facebook, and so on.
I like it. Um, I just apparently I never requested it. I just requested on our YouTube page to have the ability to stream live. So the next one will be live on YouTube as well.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
but just not this one, Dave. You're out of luck. So all right, everybody. I am Charles McFall, the director of the Digital Media Track, and this is Behind the Track, where we'll be talking with different volunteers leading up into the con about what brought them to the con, why they're here, and of course what they're excited about coming up with this convention and the ideas and things that we have. And this is your opportunity to ask your questions about what's going on with the track. And again, some things we can talk about, some things we can't. But I'll let you know when we go there. So this is Dave of Dave Lott Media. What is Dave Lott Media?
It's just my Instagram, Twitter handle. I should probably put Flickr effect there instead, but I don't
Yeah.
know. I just threw that there.
Oh, well, okay. So it is your media company. I'm assuming it's you can do your photographs underneath it. You do your
Yeah.
podcasts underneath it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean it's not. I don't really have a media company. I haven't started one yet, but yeah, just
You were
my
born to be a
social.
media company, Dave. You're a
I
walking media
yeah,
company.
yeah. It's my way of dreaming. I'm gonna make it happen by just using the name.
I do. You know what? Sometimes the things we focus on, right? It's really good. Um, so what? Actually, I want to go back to the early days when you were a child. What
Just kidding.
interested you in podcasting?
Uh, so I don't know. That's a good question. What interested me in podcasting? I had a background in audio. Um, I worked in audio post production for a while. I did that in New York and in California for a bit. Um, Long story short, I ended up moving away from that field, but I mean, I still had that itch to do something in audio, at least as a hobby. I also listen to a lot of podcasts, in particular one like film review podcast that I liked a lot. And every time I would listen to it, it's like, oh man, I could do that. This would be
Don't
easy.
you love
And
that, right? You're like,
right,
I could. It makes it feel like you already are doing it just by listening.
right.
Yeah.
So a buddy of mine started Flickr Effect. It's been a while now. I don't even remember how many years it's been. Um, and yeah, we kind of, yeah, I was trying my best not to exactly copy this other podcast and their formats, but a lot of times I felt like I ended up just kind of doing that same kind of format as this other show. But we tried our best to do our own thing, and that's how the show got started. That's how I got into podcasting.
Every artist steals, Dave. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just how because we're all inspired. We're all uh, enthralled. You see something and there's almost the things that I end up stealing is I don't steal. I can't help but do it. It's something that I'm attracted to, right? It's like this cutesy thing. I mean, if it's a like my wife, I say, oh man, that's what's really cute about her. But it's a show. But it's this thing that pops and it grabs you and did it. And for you, it sounded like that was the reviewing the TV and talking about the media and it seems like you really love doing that.
Yeah. No, it was a lot of fun. I mean, it's always kind of just been a hobby. Um, I mean, yeah, again, I can't remember how many years. I remember our very first review was of the Green Lantern movie. Um, so
All right,
I can
spoil the
always
spoiler.
I can
Lott
always
sure didn't like it.
reference like, oh, when did that movie come out? Okay, that's how long it's been. Yeah, that movie was okay. I'm always scared of the idea of going back and listening to that review to hear how it sounded, but
At the time, it was okay.
it was okay.
I
I didn't
really
hate it
like
as
Ryan
much as
Reynolds.
a lot of people, but yeah.
Yeah, it got weird. It did some odd
Mhm.
stuff, but I thought I was like, you know what? I'll take a Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern. It'll work. Now the fact that it almost gave us permission to hate it in the end of Deadpool, right?
Right.
So that was it. It was just Deadpool was better. We can all agree to that.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So so that got you into what you're doing with media. What brought you to Dragon Con the first time?
What brought me to Dragon Con? It's funny. In anticipation of this interview and not knowing exactly what we would talk about, I was trying to think about like when did I even first hear of Dragon Con, and I honestly I cannot remember now. I think the first year I went was 2012, and that year in particular was actually also the first year, a couple months before Dragon Con was the first year I went, at least for the whole weekend, is when I went to San Diego Comic Con.
Okay.
And I remember going to San Diego Comic Con that summer, and that was for me as someone who had never really been going to conventions like this at all, and then jumping like headfirst into the biggest of of conventions like this. Um, it was an experience that was just amazing for me, and I remember coming out of it going, "Oh my god, like I can't wait till next year." But you know what? Dragon Con, which isn't far from me, I live in Orlando, which isn't far from me, is only in like a couple months. I'm gonna go to Dragon Con. So that was what pushed me to go that first year was I think going to San Diego and being like, oh my God, this is amazing. I need more of this like sooner rather than later. And then I
So
went to Dragon Con and discovered, oh wow, this is a completely different experience from San Diego.
I I only been to a few cons in the world, and none of them. Dragon Con is just different. It's just a different
Yeah.
beast altogether. Roughly, what year was that? So I was
That was
chatting with
20,
Al Henley and Jake in the chat room.
I think that was 2012.
All right. So you were what caused the end of the Mayan calendar. I understand.
Yeah, that's me.
It's all good there. Kurt's here. Thanks everybody. We are taking questions. If you have anything you want to ask or about the track or comment, um, there was somewhere I was going to go before we got into more of that, but I've already forgotten because I let the chat room distract me. So you started going to Dragon Con, so you've been going a pretty long time.
Yeah, I've been every year since then. Obviously except for 2020, like all of us. Um, yeah, I've been going every year. And
Did you watch the live or recorded digital version, Dave? In
oh,
2020?
oh yeah, I
Then
watched
you
live.
were there.
I was
We were
there.
all there. Yeah, we were the only track, I believe, to pull off a full schedule of programming. A minimum of 36 hours is what a normal convention would be. And that's what we did that.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. But now I remember what I was going to say, and it actually ties into the next part about volunteering. I don't remember if I put out the call in Discord, and you can probably remind me. I just want to get to the point of we started talking, and I asked her some references or something, and I guess that's when you said you did some radio stuff in San Diego, and that for whatever reason that one little throwaway comment burned in my brain, and every time I have seen you, I'm like, man, it's just so cool that you come all the way out from
From
California
California.
to volunteer here, man. It's the then when we're doing meetings, like, well, Dave, isn't it like a time difference for you? Like, no, man, I'm in
No.
Orlando. There's no time difference. So,
Yeah, I used to live there, but
yeah.
no more. I'm back in Florida. Even if I do one day, I want to try to move back there, but I'm in Florida right now.
So that's I had to actually in one of the early meetings of the volunteers that we had this year, just and that's the first we've done this year. The first time ever we've started doing monthly volunteer meetings to really help get this thing on track and moving forward. Um, but that even in this year, I had to clarify again. Where are you? And you had to remind me it's Orlando. So yeah, it's kind of dumb that way. And then we'll talk about the rest of your story in a minute. We got some questions here. Jake, right? The SDF is his, right? The Streaming Digital Festival is Jake. What would you say the main difference between your DC Dragon Con and SDCC experiences are?
Oh man, like that's everything. I mean,
I'm actually curious because SDCC is where everybody goes, like the Avengers, Disney. They go to make their big announcements.
right.
Is there anything at Dragon Con like that?
I mean, there's big panels, you got the main programming stuff, but nothing, and there's nothing at Dragon Con quite like the stuff you see in Hall H in San Diego. And I love Dragon Con, obviously, but it's, San Diego, especially I think with the proximity to Hollywood, a lot of studios are going there to showcase stuff they plan on releasing for the rest of the year that they feel like kind of would pertains to that audience.
That makes sense. I forget that Silicon Valley and Hollywood and everything else, animation. I don't know what they call the animation area, but all that stuff
Right.
is roughly within driving distance to go make those
Roughly.
announcements. And people live, the stars and whatnot live out there. Because Jake's saying the same thing I'm saying is how do we get stuff like that at Dragon Con?
Right.
We have kind of. The CW is a really, I mean, I don't know literally, but just from what I've seen them do and support over the years with Dragon Con, the CW is a big friend of Dragon Con. So the Arrowverse, all the, not all the actors, but most of the actors every year, and the main ones would come almost every year to there. And I remember, I think it was going into Arrow season 4. I happened to go to Stephen Amell panel. So the rest of the cast weren't there, it was just him. And he dropped a secret trailer to season 4, and the crowd lost their minds.
Oh, nice.
Right? So that there's probably some stuff like that happens. It's just not to the scale.
I just wonder
San
if,
Diego.
like I think Jake said, because there's so much production in Atlanta, why not have that kind of thing happen at Dragon Con, right? And I wonder if they were to do that, where could they have a big enough venue, though, I think, to hold the audience that would attract. I mean, the rooms that big room in the Marriott, I don't know how many it holds, but it's nothing compared to I think Hall H in San Diego holds I've heard 6,500 or 7,000
Somebody
people.
Google it. Google it.
Yeah, where could you do that in downtown Atlanta to have a major
arena?
Right.
I don't know. Or Mercedes-Benz, whatever. Tony says that Marriott room is only about 4,000.
4,000.
Yeah. I mean, they are spread out for a reason. It's just the vibe of the con, and it works. But I think the largest room is for maybe 5,000 people. Kurt says Georgia Dome. We could have it there. It would be. I've thought about that too. Is Hall H is massive. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of people. Two Dorks TV says that I remember when we got Sean and James Gunn after the first Guardians came out. And I think that's because wasn't the first Guardians filmed in Atlanta, I want to say.
I think it probably was. I remember that year too. I think I was staying in the Hilton, and Sean Gunn, like I shared an elevator with him once, like late at night, like at 2 in the morning. But yeah, that was a fun year that they were there.
That I was there and did not have any stories to tell except this horrible one.
Oh,
Okay, it
ready.
was the first year I'd ever come to Dragon Con, and like you said, I'd been to at that point. I'd been to other podcast conventions, which is like more business, right? And I walked into this and did not know uh, what to think, other than it's pretty awesome. I've got a picture of an Alf holding up a cardboard sign saying "We'll work for cats." Um, it's
Nice.
so many cool things I just stumbled across, and found the podcast track, right? Beeline for it, and um, I met Brian Ibbett that year, and that's the year we started doing work together. We started working on from the helicarrier at that Dragon Con. But I met a lot of the people there, and it's really cool. And they had tracks, and you do much like we do today. You go to your panels or go to the big room, and they're like, "Yeah, there's going to be a party tonight." It was a Friday or Saturday. Like that kind of sounds like fun. And then 5 or 6 o'clock hits, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm tired. I don't want to be here anymore." So I drive home, and then go back in later the next day, and everybody's talking, and they had the podcast party, and it was just in this tiny little room that held 80 people, maybe 60 to 80 people. And they were just really bringing your own beer and hanging out. And James Gunn comes and hangs out at the party for like 30 minutes to an hour. Just because he was like, yeah,
Nice.
I was just kind of around, just want to see what's down in the corner. Oh, it's also in this kind of interesting little corner off away from the main con. It was cool. So yeah, so that was the only story I have, is that I chose to not go to a party, and so I didn't meet James Gunn. Yeah, there's that. Oh no, oh, oh no. Two Door says that party was so great. Not to rub it.
Not to
Now,
rub it
see,
in.
I thought Steven only started coming to Dragon Con because I was at Dragon Con. Now, this somehow changes the lore. I don't like that at all, Steven. Um, so, yeah, there you go. He said those dudes just wandered around. And then I believe this is someone you know.
Yeah, that's someone I know.
Uh,
Shell getting that
Michelangelo Costas. Got it.
getting that Hall H number for us,
Yeah, 61.
6100.
All right. Well, 4,000. I mean, 2,000 more people is a lot, but at the same time, privilege is privilege.
Yeah.
You know, if you get in line, you get in line. Dragon Con is the con of lines. So, all right. We had talked about kind of how we met. So, we're going to go back to that and how you started volunteering. Before I even made the call out for needing some people, had you been thinking about helping? Had you been coming by the digital media / podcast track?
Yeah, I'd been coming by for, I remember, a couple podcasts here and there, or not podcasts, but panels. And yeah, we did virtual con in 2020, and then I think 2021 was the first year I volunteered
Okay, there
with
you
you
go.
guys. And yeah, I was to that. I was to a point where I was like, I'm loving going to Dragon Con every year, but I think I'm ready to try something different and maybe volunteer. And I was already a member of the Discord, and I don't remember what part of the year it was. I remember seeing that you put out the word that you needed a volunteer, and I was like, this is a perfect fit. I do a podcast, like this seems perfect. I
Yeah.
remember being a little nervous about it. I'm like, oh man, is this going to be the kind of thing where like I'll be there all the time, or I didn't know how it would work, but
Yes.
it's been great. Like, yeah, you obviously I love helping out, and we're there a lot, but you plenty of free time to still enjoy the convention. It's been a lot of fun.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. I'm going to get some more questions along those lines. And again, if anybody has any questions that they want to ask, go ahead. Jake said 2021 was the first year for him as well, and he's
Yep.
hoping to come back next year. Um, yeah, I'd like to see Jake back again. Um, so that was my first year, was the James Gunn year, and I had gotten New Media Expo to pay for my ticket to go, because I'd said I had heard about these things, and it's in my backyard. Would they sponsor me just by paying for my ticket? That's it. Would they sponsor me to go to that con to get some ideas from there and compare it to what New Media Expo is doing, because I'd already been doing some work with them and doing some hosting for them, and gotten in with the top people, and so they said, yeah, we'll pay for your ticket. So I've never once paid to go to Dragon Con,
Paid.
because they paid for it the first year, and then the second year I got attending pro status and had that for a couple of years, and then I volunteered and so on. So I've been one of the fortunate that I've never had to pay for it, and I like that. And then that's kind of my deal. I haven't told Regina this yet, but if I ever do retire, I want them to give me a lifelong membership without having to pay for it. That's what
Eternal
I'd
member.
like to have. Lifetime member, yeah. So um, that was how I came through it all. But I really had gotten tied into that track and just found myself, when I was overwhelmed, I'd go back and just sit in that track. No matter what panel was there, I would just go and sit there, and it just
Mm-hmm.
felt right. So getting more involved with being an attending pro felt right. And then Dunaway asked me if I wanted to volunteer. And like you said, I mean, I was always there anyway. I didn't really have much interest in going out and doing other stuff, except, I bring my kids every once in a while. We go to the celebrity hall and whatnot. But yeah, so I felt like volunteering. What have you gotten out of volunteering? Because you not just volunteer, you've come back. This is what, your third year, and last year you
Yeah.
brought somebody with you as a
Yeah.
volunteer.
I've helped recruit somebody else. I've gotten a lot of great information. I mean, you go into podcasting, and I know it's different for everybody, but I felt like, oh, I know what I'm doing. I have a background in audio, and I listen to enough shows. I'll just do this. But then you kind of realize, like, oh wow, I could learn a lot about how to get the word out about my show and just how to format things. And yeah, I'd been to some panels on the track before I volunteered, but now, of course, volunteering, I've been to a lot more. And I mean, there's been panels I've sat in that maybe I necessarily wouldn't have attended on my own, that I was like, oh, wow, no, this was great. I'm glad I'm here for this. I'm glad I'm here for that. And I've gotten a lot of great information that for questions I hadn't even really thought about before. Um,
I love
and
hearing
hey,
that.
you know what? If anything, I could say I won a computer because of being a volunteer.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, like so I started watching some of Chelsea Bites Twitch
Yeah,
streams,
yeah, yeah.
and it was early, like not long after last year's con. She did a charity like stream where she built a PC,
Hmm.
and everyone had to like put in donations in order to be entered to win that PC, and I won it.
Wow, that's
So
awesome.
it's this really great gaming machine you can't see on camera. It's sitting over here in front of me. It's been fantastic. So I can even thank the Digital Media Track for this computer I now own.
Many blessings upon you.
Yes.
That's awesome. Um, I like what you said earlier too. I found that to be true for myself as well. Being the first year, I was really hands on. Actually, the first couple of years, I was really hands on. Scott Moore, he'll be on. Scott will be on with me on this chat the very final Tuesday before Dragon Con. But when he came along, it really helped me not have to do as much.
Hmm.
But I found that sitting in a room going, yeah, I never would have chosen to be in this panel, but I need to be here to run the microphones or whatever. And you get something out of it. And the phrase you said was, you started giving you answers to questions you didn't even know you had.
Right.
And I'm like, that is one of the coolest things, because there was some of that before I came along. That was not all me. I remember sitting in a panel by Justin Robert Young back when Dunaway ran the track, and it was you had. I think the actual title was "Six People Listen to Your Show, and Who Cares." And it's all about how if six people came to your house every Sunday, you would be a little cult. You'd be impressed. But 20, 30, 40, 50 people download your show and you think you're nobody. And it was like,
Right.
it was really, really cool panel. So there was definitely content long before I came along that really moved the creative strings. I just know my flavor is very much in the creative, and I feel like we're doing a really good job at inspiring people. And I just like hearing those stories. Um, what has got you excited about this year?
This year in particular, let's see.
This year and 5 years from now, I don't know, Dave. Yeah,
I don't
this year.
know. Uh, I'm always excited to go to Dragon Con. Like I've Michelle and I have talked about it. Like, oh, should we, we're getting to that age, and the kids are getting older. Should we get to the point of should I be using my vacation time on other things, like And I'm
Dump
like,
her.
um, and yes, like I do want to do other things with my spare time, but at the same time, it's like, you know what? It's a holiday weekend. I can basically go every year and only like use one day off from work. And like for me, going to Dragon Con is going to be probably an annual experience for a long time. I mean, before I started volunteering, I started looking at, oh, is the internal membership like worth it at my age? Like, if I had started going many years ago, I'd be like, oh, I'm going to buy that now. I'm already old enough that I'm like, I don't know if I should throw. I think
It's
like
just too expensive for you to buy it on a whim, but
right.
it's so cheap if you buy it early enough.
Oh
You
yeah, if
know,
you buy it early, like
yeah.
if I thought my son, who I'm going to be bringing my kids for the first time this year, and for instance, my son who's just turned 11, if I thought that he was going to like just want to go to something like Dragon Con the rest of his life, I would buy him one right now. But I'm still like the jury's still out if this is his thing.
Fair enough. I don't know if I know anybody who owns a pass. They're very legendary, right? Because those people who just really got it, and because it seems like the two paths are for the diehards is volunteering slash being directors, and the lifetime memberships,
Right.
right? And because it's amazing to me how many years the directors have on them. It wasn't. I don't think it was this last meeting. It might be the last meeting of the year that we have, but they always recognize all the volunteers, and all the directors are volunteers. So they recognize all the volunteers who have hit certain milestones. And I think 5 years is the first milestone that you hit.
Okay.
Um, and at each milestone, they give you something more. And I've gotten the the first one is a pin with a certain jewel in it, and it's nice looking. It's cool. And I think the 10-year one is a different color jewel. But then I think they have one for each set of five. But then I remember like the two people who had 30 years each in as directors or as volunteers, because it starts as soon as you volunteer, so it doesn't matter how far up you go. We had two people, and they had to have new directors. They got like polos and computers, and I mean, just really cool swag. And it was like it's astounding to know that people have been doing it that long. Like this is a part of their life, and that's directors. I mean, there are people who attend this thing that's that for them. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
I never would have pegged it for myself, not ever.
No.
And
How
uh,
long have you been volunteering and then track directing now?
over 10 years now, I think I don't remember.
Yeah.
I mean, I really have. I'm bad with dates. I'd really have to look it up. But I want to say, um, in the teens, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
But like the 2013, 14, 15, somewhere in there. I don't know. But when I was first told about it, I just wasn't that big of a geek, wasn't that big of a fan. And the guy described it. It was a pothead alcoholic who described it to me. He's like, "Oh no, man, you just go wander the halls and some geeks walking around, but you go from room to room and just drink and smoke and drink." And smoke. I'm like, that
That
sounds
sounds like Dragon.
horrible. That sounds like the worst thing ever. So it took me a long time to go. I'll tell that other story later about what got me to go. So I'll say this year, one of the things that's got me a little excited that you haven't actually found out about yet is that we're actually going to do more programming on Thursday than we ever have before. That's kind of leading
Ah,
into it. We had Jeff Burns request that night to do the Princess Bride live role play game that he plays. And the gaming track has had it for the last few years, and we're getting it next. I told him, I was like, that Princess Bride, you'd be bringing that to our track, yeah, if you're doing one of those games and not the gaming track. So we're getting that on Thursday night. Um, uh, Tony P. Henderson is doing the Dragon Comedy for a Cause. live show from 8:30 to 9:30. We're going to have, I don't remember the exact time, but we're also going to have a digital media creator meet and greet where we just kind of, whoever's there at Thursday nights can come hang out, talk to each other, introduce your shows. Just kind of, hey, we're all here. Tomorrow's the real big day, but that's going to happen. And then for the first time ever, we're going to do some real, we kind of did some live entertainment before with like an interactive panel. We're going to do a bigger one this year at 10 o'clock. So after Tony P. Henderson's coming for a cause, we're going to be doing Agents of Damned. Agents of Damned, the Real Play D&D podcast, is going to do Jackbox.tv games live, and they're going to do it as different characters, like trolls and whatnot, to see how the characters in the D&D world, what their knowledge would be like. So it sounds like it has to be 10 p.m. and later, so it's going to be a little bit of a
So we're going to jump right into it
if you
Thursday.
will. Yeah, jump right into it and get you a little pre-botch going on. And botch will end it up on Sunday nights like they normally do. So that's going to be a much larger day than we've ever done, and if that goes well, because the con is really wanting that. They're wanting to start some panels as early as 1:30 in the afternoon on Thursday. Is our audience here at 1:30 on a Thursday? I don't know. Friday, everybody's used to Friday. I'm sure you've been driving up on Thursdays probably for a while.
I started finally coming up actually on Wednesdays for the past, I don't know how many years. I think if anything, just because for a while there I was staying at the Marriott, and just because of the check-in experience of at any of the host hotels, is check-in can be crazy on Thursday. And I'm like, you know what? I can use another vacation day. Let's just go up Wednesday and get checked in and just relax. And actually, and it's funny, like this year, we're kind of back and forth on if we're coming up Wednesday or Thursday. I don't know what we're going to do yet, but yeah, no, like I'll probably be there early enough to attend stuff and help out that early on Thursday. But that's cool that it's getting started so early. I mean, hey, everyone keeps calling like Wednesday is the new Thursday, and next it'll be Tuesday is the new Wednesday, and
well, it will be. I mean, when they've expanded Thursday to an official day, just because there's so many parties, so many big things that people wanted to do.
Right, people are there anyway.
Yeah. So once they did that officially, then Wednesday's a new Thursday, and can you imagine a Monday to Monday Dragon Con? I don't know.
Anything's possible. Yeah. Like at first I would be like, there's no way that's not going to happen. But at Dragon Con, like, you never know.
Can you imagine the panels we could do and have breaks so that if you came on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, you get that cycle of the D&D debauchery that we do building up to the botch show on Sunday night. And then they could take Thursday night off. Then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, get that cycle going again.
Right. Is there ever talk of like just
triggered a lot of people with that?
No, I was going to ask you, is that, I mean, in the back rooms of Dragon Con, is there ever talk of like, hey, we should just do a full day Thursday and not really do anything Monday, since everyone's just checking out on Monday anyway? I'm not saying we should do that. I'm just curious.
But that would be interesting if it did shift that way. Because there's talk about full days on Thursday. Like they're still in the encouraging phase of, we're encouraging you to not put a lot of panels in the day on Thursday, but submit some. And earlier it is, we'll look at it and see. But we want you to be thinking that direction. Like in 2020, they asked for panels to go digital because it was COVID. 2021, they asked for panels to say, oh, that went really well. Let's test out this new feature of DCTV. And they asked for panels to do some digital. And most of us did it. And then last year, they made it mandatory that we do at least one, but we had 2 slots, so we did 2. And then this year, they kept everybody to 1, but it's now mandatory. So it went from encouragement to that. Cutting off Mondays, honestly, I think a lot of people would be okay with it. We have to do, I think we have to do panels on Monday. I'm not sure, but I keep it to a
I
minimum.
am.
I keep it to the traditions. The last two traditions that have remained since the first podcast track ever launched on Dragon Con, by what I understand, is from pretty much from day one. Mark Gunn, who hosts the Celtic and Irish music podcast and has done that for a long, long time, comes and does geeky pub songs. And he
Right.
ends the track that way. And that's apparently been going on, I believe, since the first year. And he's still doing it. And I'm fortunate to say he's become a friend of mine. And he actually lives here in Atlanta. And we always try to talk about getting our kids together at the park. And then we never do because we're so busy. Uh, and then after that was the feedback. How can we do better? And I think that's been going on since the first year as well, because that's what we do as creators, right? We need that feedback to say what went well, what didn't go well, and what's your idea? Come sit at the table. And that's really the only two panels I do on Monday because everyone wants to sleep in and say goodbye.
Right.
But it'd be interesting to end the night Sunday night and then just strike on Monday, just tear everything down. And I don't know.
And I'm not asking because I want them to do that. I'm curious.
I know a lot of people do take off on Sunday.
Yeah.
It's just a big
Oh,
travel
on
day.
Sunday. On Sunday, yeah.
Yeah. I do know that sometimes the big celebrities get in a nice, easygoing panel. Sometimes they like the Monday panels because most people are gone. They can still interact with their fans more. I don't think the hall is open, but I know there's been a few like reschedules of Winona Earp panels and Stargate panels where I'm like, they're doing that on Monday at 1:00. Interesting. But I think it's partially because as part of their deal, they have to do so many panels, but it doesn't have to be on any specific day. If you're a guest or a pro, it's the same. You have to do one panel per day, or four. Right now they're keeping it 4. Even though Thursday's a real day, they're only requiring 4 panels total. But if you
Okay.
decide to do 2 panels throughout the weekend, just spreadingly, and then stay at your table most time to make your money, you just make it up on Monday. You do 2 panels,
Okay.
and because there is enough people that's still worth it to have 1 or 2 big panels there, but it's different. You said Wednesday's a new Thursday, and
Pretty much.
I am working on a first ever. I'm working on a first ever digital media sponsored off campus party.
Ooh.
So once I get the details locked in on that, the venue is cool with it. It's going to be really Dragon Con centric as a con, not just digital media. We're just sponsoring it. But I've already sent the request to the con, but haven't heard back, so I need to call them and see. Because I really just need official transportation because it's about a 5-minute ride from the convention over to 10th Street. So
And you're saying Wednesday night?
yeah, it'd be Wednesday night. So if people come, because I know like Phil and Dennis and Kurt and them, a bunch of people start flying in Wednesday, and I know if it's con wide, right, not just our because we'll know some people, but what I'm thinking of, and I don't want to say it yet because it's still the venue's good, but I haven't locked it in with Dragon Con yet. But if I think the spirit of it will be very, very Dragon Con, very inclusive, and very geeky. And I think whoever is in town will just come and have a great time. And they're going to do, if we get it pulled off, they're going to do themed drinks. And if you want to come and cosplay, they're going to do giveaways. And it's going to be interesting. So
Nice.
thought we'd try it. Why not?
All right, coming up Wednesday then. I was back and forth, but now it's decided.
Well, let me lock it in. But give me a couple weeks.
No.
And
I'll put it on my calendar, man.
when Michael Katz comes on, we'll have it locked in. Oh no, not the barcade, Kurt. That's so okay. I'm glad you brought that up. Now that was fun when I went with the boys. So there's 2 barcades in Atlanta, maybe more, but 2 that I know of. And it's the idea. It's like not like Dave and Buster's where you're gonna play the arcades, but they have retro games, pinball, trivia, sometimes all kind of stuff where you go in, drink. They have bar food, and you can rent a console and play with your buddies, and just go sit in nice chairs and all this. They have a PC gaming area. We can do stuff like that too, and there's one up the north side that Tony and myself and Klotz, I think, and Phil and a few of us went to one year when they came in early. It had some arcade machines, but it was basically just we'd all sit down and I forget what game we played, but we played Xbox or PlayStation or something together. Um, but the real good one is over on Edgewood, and it is One Up. I think no, what's it called? I can't remember what it's called right now, but it's Joystick. It's called Joystick,
Okay.
and it is all arcade machines, and it's a bar. It's just a bar and with arcade machines, and it's really cool. But now this is going to be a little bit different if I pull it off. So with that, it's been not a lot of questions, but I appreciate it. Right? I think it's watch our social media. Tyra's putting out the announcements, but I want to say it's every other Tuesday. So in 2 weeks, I
I think
should
so.
be
Yeah.
back with Michelle. I think is the next person signed up. Um, and we are doing another thing. We're offering it at least. I think Tyra's going to take the first one since nobody signed up. Digital Media Open Mic Night. And I don't know what the dates are. So, hey, I've got some banners made so people can join our Discord. So there it is, tinyurl.com/digital media track. Capital D, capital M, capital T. Tinyurl.com/ that will get you to our Discord. And that's where all the information is really put up in real time. And that's where most of the interaction is done. So
And then
watch
yeah,
that.
speaking of the Discord, I'm looking. I think Tony's the next one of these behind the track episodes,
Okay.
and then Michelle's the one after that.
All right. So Kurt, open mic night is you just sign up in Discord. It's free. It's easy. Get in our Discord. I think Tyra's kind of wrangling the schedule on that, and you would get on Twitch, this Twitch channel, and interview somebody, talk to somebody, play your games, promote
Nice.
your show. If this is where you wanted to try doing some live streaming and not have any pressure, that's what it's here for, because that's what the digital media track is all about, is giving people places to do things. So if you just want to be a part of the community going, hey, I'm not getting to go to the convention this year, like Jake could come and do something for an hour on this channel if you wanted to. It's kind of like a Twitter takeover / come try your material or try your show idea / I've never done streaming before. I want to come and practice, because I can give access to StreamYard. We can do all kind of stuff. So if you have your own tools and you just want to take over the channel for an hour, that's what it's here for. So again, that is tinyurl.com/digital media track. And as is my bad habit with these, I capitalize D, M, and T, digital media track. That's what I do in links all the time. Even in running emails, I will capitalize stuff like that when it's all together, like Dragon Con. Well, that's kind of their branding. But anyway, I digress. That is what's going on. So Dave, if you've got your YouTube channel, so tell everybody about where you want people to find you.
Yeah, I got a YouTube channel. I co-host with 3 other guys, Bobby, Yasha, and Michelle, who's also a volunteer on the track. We do a show called Flicker Effect. You can find that on YouTube, youtube.com/Flicker Effect. But lately we've also been streaming that on Twitch, which I think we're Flicker_Effect on Twitch. And then, we have Instagram and Twitter accounts as well, Flicker_Effect on both of those. So, yeah, find us there. We talk about movies, TV, pop culture, mostly movies, but yeah, kind of whatever comes up.
I like it. I was already I pulled it up, the podcast version, which you said you had transitioned from the podcast to YouTube. Well, we talked before the show, and you may or may not be doing the audio version again. But even with the stuff that you have done, I was like, I want to listen to your review on that, and I want to check out this, and so there's plenty of content to go back and listen to on the podcast there as well. Yeah. I've got a new show debuting this week. It's called Wise and Nerdy. And it's going to be with myself and Joe Ard, and we're 2 dads who are giving advice and telling jokes and being nerdy. We talk about the things that we're nerding out about this week, and we play some games where there's always a question of the week, right? There's always a question of the week to get the ball rolling, and he and I both have to answer it. And that's going to be something we're putting out on our social media so that everybody else can answer it as well each week as we go into the week. And then we roll the dice. There are 6 segments in the show after the question, and Joe literally rolls a 6-sided dice, and we randomly pick the sections that we go in. And we do stuff like Am I the Butt Face or Malicious Compliance on Reddit and Dear underscore. And we ask him very awkward questions to see what his answers are. And it's just fun. Kurt is doing some stingers and openings for us. I've got Mike Wooders also doing some stingers and stuff. It's a lot of fun. So that will be on twitch.tv/wise_n_nerdy. And that's going to be Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern. And that's the whole branding because Joe has embraced the underscore. He loves his underscore. So quite literally, it is wise_n_nerdy is how we're doing it. And I would love for everybody to come out Thursday night and check that out live with us. And it's going to be a lot of goofiness and fun.
Awesome.
So Dave, thanks for being on the show today. And thanks for being a part of the track. I mean, you really have brought cool new. We didn't even talk about your photos. You take some amazing photos of the track, and this year we're going to go from 25 to 2,500. So, that's. But Dave does a lot of photos. So if you see some cool stuff on our Facebook page, then that's Dave. Dave took probably. I mean, it is before last year. I think last year's the first year you brought your camera, maybe.
Yeah.
Officially.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dave takes some great photos of the track, and he's more or less the official photographer of the Digital Media Track. So we really appreciate you, but appreciate everything you brought to the track and volunteering and being a part of it. And I'm glad you're part of the journey going forward.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you having me on the track. I have a lot of fun. It's great. And yeah, I'm enjoying taking the photos. I'm going to try to take even more this year. And I want to try to do some video stuff as well this year. I can't overload myself, I guess, but that's my hope. I know we've talked a little bit about that, so hopefully I can get some video stuff, kind of recapping each day. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Ed Milet, has a book called The Power of One More, and so you don't overload yourself, but you just push that one more. So it's a good thing. All right, thank you everybody for checking this out. Stay tuned, subscribe to the Twitch channel, watch the social media there. Because we're going to have some open stream nights, if you will, and then more behind the tracks throughout the weeks.